You know, as a young person, as I said, you've always advocated people having a political opinion. When you see these kids out there in campuses, on the streets, protesting against CAA and a possible NRC, what do you think? What do you want to say to them? Because they are also your audience, and they're the future.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not the ones who are creating, finding the situation vulnerable and using it to cause ruckus and violence. They are not our future for sure.
But there are a lot of them who are also not violent. They're just,
Yes.
like
I said,
they're singing the national anthem. They're doing it in creative ways. They're protesting in creative ways.
I think if you do not agree with something,
Yes.
and in a democracy, I genuinely feel we are still having the hangover of pre-independence era, where attacking our security forces, not paying taxes, trying to shut the country down, trying to make government face losses, economic losses, was the cool thing to do with a foreign government, when the government was not elected by you. But in today's time and space, if we are still going to hang on to that pre-independence era, we are going to be a ruined nation. We need to, thank you. We need to understand that this is a democracy and elected government. And if we are the people, like for example, the kind of, if you demonize our own army and our own police, our own government, where are we going to head? Maybe you can have a counter opinion. And what is your opinion? You cannot be carrying the placards of Free Kashmir, I am Babri. Matlab, random. How come you became Babri for CA? So you can't go random. So we need to figure that what is the counter opinion. I did not find any sane opinion coming from the opposition. If you are showing compassion to a certain section of society, and the ones who are fighting for inclusiveness, now suddenly turning around and be like, why include them? So it doesn't make sense. So they definitely, there are loopholes in the maybe education system, and there is a huge disconnect that the youth have with the nation, which is absolutely worrying. Either it is the English-speaking education, it is the westernization of our youth. There is something going wrong. We've got to figure it out. Where are we going wrong? Because the indifference, whether it is people, we don't want to stand on national anthem. Every day there is some issue. We don't want to do this. We don't want to do that. But then what do you want to do? So I just feel that even the violence that you're talking about, now there are people who maybe don't agree with CA. And there are people, and they are very small in numbers. I don't know the exact percentage, but in the same university. Now these people have, actually the whole thing has spiraled down into gang wars in the universities. Somebody has shut down the servers and not letting people who have nothing to do with CA, they are coming from families, they want job and want to move on to next semester, and they are completely agreeing with CA and NRC and whatever, they have read it and they agree with it. They are not letting them register. And this gundagardi is happening. So my point is that there are these antisocial elements in the name of students. So everybody doesn't become a protester, cannot be a hero, na? Because we are not in pre-independence era. Every protester was a hero. Everybody who gave, whether किसी का सर फोड़ा या अपना सर फोड़ा, कुछ भी किया, एक स्वतंत्रता सेनानी था. अभी ऐसा नहीं है, वो गुंडे हैं.